John, great job. You got our guest this week. It's Francisco Lindor, who's a star on and off the field.
Well, he's done a great job, and he's very accommodating and accessible. So I can't take too much credit, but it's great to have Francisco back on the show. He's been on before. A terrific voice for the team. So great with the media. So great in that clubhouse, and he's been unbelievable on the field for the last year and a half now. So it's great to have Francisco again.
Yeah, he was the leading shortstop for the National League All-Star voter, and the first results that came out this week. I suspect he's heading towards his first Met All-Star game and first start ever. So well deserving of that, probably in the past, and we'll get that now. So we'll ask him about that. We'll ask him about Soto. We'll ask him about Alonso. We'll ask him where the Mets are now. Hell, we might even ask him about some off-the-field stuff like fashion. Big news blockbuster this week. John and I will try to cover everything with Rafael Devers and also with the suddenly troubling Mets pitching and Yankee hitting. And we'll do hit and error at the end if you stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman. We don't often deal with the June blockbuster. I believe David Justice was a late June trade from Cleveland to the Yankees. I've been trying to scratch my head. I know Luis Ariz was traded in May last year from Miami to San Diego, but I mean, Devers is a bigger player than those two. And clearly, this was a soap opera getting to this point. Instead of me weighing in here, why don't I just throw it out? Rafael Devers, tell me whatever you want about this trade and what you think the implications and meanings are.
Yeah, big implications. It's a huge trade. I would say it came out of nowhere, and I mean, I guess it's on us a little bit. We should have figured they were probably working on something. San Francisco was the team all along, from what I understand, and that's not a surprise. They've been, I don't want to say desperate, but they've been trying hard for a big bat. Obviously, the Correa one fell through. They tried for Harper, Stanton, Ohtani, Judge. They've tried for all of them. And here's a guy who had a no trade, who did not have a no trade, excuse me, and they could get. And my understanding is he's happy with it. We'll see. He's having a press conference later today as we do this, and expected to be in that lineup the first day. He's anxious to get there, and maybe he's even going to try to play first base, which I think he should have done in Boston. So I mean, I think it's a lot of this is on him. But on the other hand, I see both sides to it too. I mean, it wasn't clear, and I had heard that Bregman was going to be the third baseman after he signed. So if I knew it, he should have known that as well, right? So, then they were trying for Arenado. I mean, it was pretty clear. Instead of talking about how they thought Bregman could play second and all that, I think they should have been a little more upfront with him. So I get it. Should have gone to first base for the team, for his teammates, even if he hated the ownership or the front office, whatever. I mean, it's over now, though. So, I mean, to me, it's a win for San Francisco. They gave up Hicks, who was not doing well. Harrison, who's been a disappointment, frankly, from what we were expecting. A draft guy, another minor leaguer. So they didn't give up a ton, but they're paying the whole thing, which to me, for a guy who's DHing now, $30 million, that's a lot of money. But probably should have realized that was the team and that they felt they needed to get rid of him to change the climate in Boston. I personally think those young guys in Boston weren't going to follow that lead that he was setting this year anyway, but I do get it. It's not great that they've had so many bad breakups with stars. I mean, even Francona wasn't a great breakup for what he deserved. Betts was, I guess that one was a little bit better. It shouldn't have been a breakup at all. They're now 500 since they traded him exactly. Obviously, that was the bad move that set a lot of this in motion where they had to sign Devers. But they made some mistakes in the past, and they're paying for them right now with their fans. But I think they have a pretty good team, and they did a good job with drafting and developing, as Heim Bloom was a big part of that. And he's now going to be taking over in St. Louis in a year. But it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack there, but I think it's going to turn out okay on all fronts.
Yeah, look, why don't we try to do the like real quick? There's three factors here. There's a Red Sox factor, a Giant factor, and a Devers factor. Let's start with the Red Sox factor. I kind of wrote this today for our online plus thing, which is the Red Sox either botch this at the highest level or they're super Machiavellian geniuses who were trying to get rid because it convinced me that everything they did was so messed up that they had regret about doing the extension. You know, the extension is kind of a duress extension. They trade Betts, that goes terribly. Even though Bogarts has played poorly in San Diego, letting him go was met poorly in New England. And so they kind of had to sign Devers, right? Like that was how it was. And this felt like, man, we don't want him around as a DH getting older. Because to your point, there's a point they know they're trading for Arenado or signing Bregman. You got to fly down to Devers and have a conversation with them and get them on board with this. Okay, they do the fake. Maybe Bregman will play second base, but you know he's going to play third. In spring training, you have to tell them, hey, man, you want us to spend money, whatever. Take grounders at first and third every day. You never know. Bregman's only really signed for a year. He's going to opt out. You know, Cassis was hurt all of last year. You never know. Take ground. Nope, they didn't do that. Right? Then Cassis gets hurt. They don't say, hey, man, go play first base a little bit. Like practice at least to do it. Like we're forcing you. The owner flies out. You either have to cajole him or threaten him into playing first base. They don't do that, then Bregman gets hurt, etc. So to me, they either botch their way to maybe a good outcome, you know, getting
Yeah.
a contract, or this was super genius stuff where they were like, hey, how can we make this as uncomfortable as possible? I don't like conspiracy theories, John, but this is botched at every level. And Cora is known for his communication skills.
Absolutely is. Yeah, I don't know what they could have. I like that. Could have cajoled him or threatened. I'm not sure how they could have threatened him. I don't think he would have gone for any of that at that point. But yeah, I don't. I don't. They are smart people, but I'm not putting this in their smart category. I don't think so. I think it was not handled that great, and they knew the guy going in, right? I mean, you know, he's not a Mookie Betts. He's not a Bogart, certainly type guy, right? You have to really try to make them as comfortable as possible. And they didn't do that. I mean, I think they're probably thrilled they got rid of that contract, but I mean, they got to spend it now, right? Whether they get Bregman or somebody comparable, I'm not going to sit here and say it has to be Bregman, but because he's going to opt out. But somebody of that caliber, and they better extend Roman Anthony. Looks like going to be a superstar. I know it's early, but hit a nice home run yesterday. They got work to do to mend fences. I do believe that, and so I get why the fans are upset. You know, they love Devers, but I personally still think this is going to be a good team, right? I mean, the Braves lost Acuna in the middle of the season, and while he was doing great for them, they carried on and ended up winning. So I'm not. It's certainly a step back for this season, but it's not decisive. I don't think it's determinative in any fashion.
A good farm system, John. They could do things between now and July 31st. You might not find Rafael Devers, but you could find, another starter or reliever and a bat for sure. And they're in it right now as we talk. You made the key point with the Giants, I thought, John, which is they tried for Ohtani, they tried for Harper, they tried for Judge. Like that is literally I had our guys at MLB Network research. It's been the toughest ballpark to hit a home run in. They haven't had, I believe, a 30 homer hitter since Bonds was with the team. I think his last year was '07. I think he hit over 30 in '04. Nobody since then, the McCovey Cove and stuff for a lefty. They needed to add a bat. Like, look, they've gone for it, right? Extending Chapman, signing Willie Adames, and now this are significant outlays. I think everyone in the division has Dodger fever, which is the Dodgers are so good. We've got to do Corbin Burns if we're the Diamondbacks. You got to do all the stuff AJ Preller has done in San Diego. And I think to Buster Posey's credit, he's like, let's not sit around. We got good run prevention here. We have good pitching. Let's see if we could get a bat. I give them kudos. Like I hate the group think, well, that contract's going to age badly. Right, they're all going to age badly. Like that's part of the deal. Like if you do that and you're a big market team, you'll sign nobody long term, right? Like
Right.
this is the tax to have Rafael Devers for the next 5 years. Is you're also going to have him for the last 3 or 4 years of this contract.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't love the word desperate, but they needed a bat, and this is a great bat. He's one of the top, certainly one of the top 15 hitters in the game, maybe one of the top 10 hitters, and he looks motivated now. He's going to be there today as we do this, and he's not sloughing off. I think he probably needs to at least take grounders at first base. He's not going to be the third baseman. They've got Chapman. The Giants, I think they look great in spring training. I thought they'd be better than people thought. I didn't know they'd be this good. And I applaud them for going for it. I don't think they're going to win the division. Otani's back pitching now. Snell will be back soon. Glass now, who knows with him, but maybe he'll be back too. I doubt it. I doubt they win that division because their offense, frankly, still probably only average. But at least they're giving themselves a shot. It's a big market. They make a lot of money. The A's, as little money as they sucked away from them, they're no longer. It's now down to zero. They're in Sacramento, right? So it's time for them to go for it, and they did.
John, on the subject of offense, if I'm going to do a tortured segue here, I never thought the Yankee offense would hit rock bottom, but what we've seen about the last week has been pretty bad here. They were with the Cubs and Dodgers as the best offense in the sport for most of this season, and it's disappeared. And I think they have this problem again, which is when Aaron Judge doesn't hit, they kind of don't hit. And like Judge has had his kind of first slump of 2025. The numbers are still borderline historic, if not historic. They got Stanton back in the lineup last night, which ultimately should help if he stays healthy. The Rays have crawled within 2.5. I think the Yankees breathed life into the Red Sox over the past 2 weekends by losing 5 out of 6 to them, Devers or not. State of the Yankees. What do you think about them right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, Grisham and Rice were doing amazing, and now they're moving a little bit back toward what we'd expect.
Right? Has kind of taken a step back after a great start.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. I mean, Judge, I guess we could call it a slump. I mean, the guy's still hitting 380 or something like that, right? For him, I guess that's a slump. But certainly, their offense had been overperforming. Great timing to have Stanton back now. We were wondering what they were going to do with him. Well, he's gonna boost them because they need him right now. I mean, his first game back, he won a ball 111 miles an hour, another one 102 miles an hour, had 2 hits. As long as he holds up, and that's a question, right? Because he's had the tendonitis in both elbows, he had the calf situation. As long as he holds up, that's a big boost. They still have the best team, I think, in that division. Although Tampa, we just saw them in New York, and I was at 2 of the games. They looked pretty darn good against the Mets. I hadn't seen the Mets blown out like that all year. So, they got a fight on their hands, and I do think Boston's pretty good.
I am keeping an eye on the Tampa schedule, John. They spend so much time
Right.
on in July and August, and when they're home, I'm sure every game will have a rain delay. It will begin to have maybe an impact on them, but they're always better than we kind of expect them to be. They're mouthing their way to success again. The flip side, tortured segue again, John, is the Mets pitching staff had, especially the starting rotation, had been superb for most of this season. And now we're in about a week of bad results and bad news. It starts with the key thing is the bad news that Senga hurt his hamstring, was at that game that afternoon, reaching for an Alonso toss at first base. That's an injury that's going to keep him out, I would say, no less than a month, maybe more than that, because they're going to be very cautious with Senga, who I think they think as very breakable. And now we've started to see some McGill and Canning cracks, and that would feel less problematic to me if Montas and Manaea were having good rehabs. They're not having good rehabs. Like it felt like, oh, those guys will get plugged in. Who's ever the two guys struggling will come out. They'll be good. They still have more depth than anyone. That is quantity, John. As we get closer to July 31st, what do you think of the quality?
Yeah, I mean, they're regressing toward the expected output at this point, right? I mean, Canning has not been as good, obviously, and McGill has not been as good lately. Peterson has stepped up. He's been fantastic. That's a plus, but they're still at the top of the heap in the ERA um, battle. So it's still pretty good. It's still pretty good, but you're right on Montas and Manaea. It's worrisome to give up 8 runs in Syracuse for Montas. Now I spoke to him when he came back, and he had a bullpen session, and he felt better about things. He seems to have rediscovered his splitter, so maybe there's some positive there. But and you're right, Manaea's taken a lot longer than we would have thought. You never know with oblique; they could take forever. And Senga certainly will be, I believe, 5 weeks minimum. So Yeah, a lot of issues right now, even though they're at the top of the heap in the ERA list. They got a lot of issues right now. They got a little bit bigger lead than the Yankees do. And, I think their lineup is going to be even better than it's been so far. And Alonso's having a great year. Lindor is having a great year. And Soto is coming around. So they will cover up some of this with the offense, but I guess we couldn't have expected the pitching to have maintained the level that they'd shown the first 2 months.
You know what it reminded me, John, of a little last year. Cole goes out and the Yankees don't have him for the first like 2.5 months of the season, and their rotation pitched great, waiting for Cole. And then the moment Cole came back, their rotation kind of almost did a like we
Yeah.
accomplished a marathon and it was only a half marathon, and they kind of took their hands off the rope a little. I think as Montas, Blackburn first, then Montas and Minaya have gotten closer, like either just through physical exhaustion of like we've carrying this weight, there's this step back, or is it a natural step back to, a regression to the mean? So I would close our segment here, John, by asking, and again, I think neither of us love the prediction game, but we don't know exactly which starting pitching is going to get out into the marketplace. But I do have a feeling if a good one gets out, that the Mets feel would start a game one, two, or three for them in a playoff series. That as well as they've pitched and as deep as they might be, they're going to be very aggressive to try to get that pitcher. Do you agree?
I would think so. They should be. They're not by nature an aggressive team in terms of trading prospects from what we've seen through David Stearns' history. He's been on the other side of it, trading big stars rather than prospects to begin with. But that seems to be what you hear from other executives, that they're really not throwing around these prospect names. They're certainly not going to do a Pete Crow Armstrong type deal. Not that any of us knew, and I'm not blaming, in retrospect, blaming anyone, because none of us knew that Pete Crow Armstrong could become this. But they won't do that kind of a trade, I don't think. So I do think they will be interested in not only a left-handed reliever, but a big-time starter if there is one available. But who's going to be available? I don't know. I mean, I think Sale's a long shot to go at this point. I think Atlanta's in it to try to win it. We'll see. Peralta, Milwaukee, you never know what they might do. I not that likely though. Maybe Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, but I think they're in it to win it as well. So I'm not sure where they're going to find one who's going to be in the top three. Maybe one of the Baltimore guys, but that's, to me, borderline. They're not really top two, at least, at the very least, right? Eflin and Sagano.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure there was one available, but they definitely have the pieces to trade at this point between Tong, Tidwell, Sproat, Jet Williams. Their prospect list is average at this point, which is better than it had been in the past.
Yeah, John, that's why I set it up that way. I'm not sure anyone's getting out. The team that I find most fascinating is the Diamondbacks, uh,
Yeah,
because they clearly think they're good, and I actually think they're good. I think they're on the right,
yeah.
but they're looking at their division in the National League, and do they say, especially after the Burns injury, the best way to set ourselves up to go for it again in 26 in a hard way is to move Kelly, Gallen, Eugenio Suarez, and Naylor and kind of like get a boatload of stuff, save a little money now to apply in the offseason. I find them, as we're sitting here, them in Atlanta are the two pivot teams to me about like what do those teams think about their playoff chances on about July 15th, and how deep do they go trade wise? They're the two teams to me that could change this a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, National League is tough. I mean, Atlanta's got the one big piece in Sale, but Arizona's got a bunch of guys. I just don't think Arizona's going to sell. I mean, their offense is so good. They feel like they can cover things up and probably go out and acquire one of these pitchers that we mentioned who's average but will win a lot of games. To me, they're in the top three in offense with Marte and Carroll and all those guys. So they can carry on. They made it with 84 wins to the World Series. Last year, they missed out by one game, as we know, with the Mets and the Braves in that doubleheader, beating them out by one game. They don't want to do that again. So I'm going to be surprised if Arizona sells, but that would be a big one. I mean, in between Kelly, Gallen, and then of course they've got Suarez, who's a free agent as well. They've got Naylor, who's a free agent. Shelby Miller has been outstanding as the closer, but I'm not holding my breath for Arizona to be a seller.
I'm with you. I think that both Arizona and Atlanta, their DNA for this season is to go for it. So I think it would take a lot of bad baseball over the next 4 weeks for them to do it. And maybe, look, I'll close the segment by saying this is the Braves play the Mets 7 times in 10 games coming up here. The Yankees played six in about a 10-day period against the Red Sox and breathed life into the Red Sox. The Mets have a chance here to tell the Braves, not this year, like just kind of like
Yeah.
finish or allowed the Braves to do what the Red Sox just did with the Yankees, which is to kind of feel it again. I think this is a really fascinating 10 days in the NL East in general and the NL in specific. And so the Mets have a chance to do something here against the Phillies and Braves. A key to the Mets, of course, is their shortstop, likely their starting shortstop for the National League All-Star team, Francisco Lindor, and he's going to join us on the show next. John and I are so happy to have Francisco Lindor, the shortstop, the NL MVP runner-up from 2024, and 14 homers, 13 steals for the first place New York Mets, who are 45 and 27, just about to begin a series in Atlanta. And Francisco, thank you for joining us from Atlanta.
Yeah, no, I've been beyond.
Francisco, look, 14 homers, 13 steals. I hate to be the jinx, right? Like I talked to you about this on Saturday at your locker. You've been an all-star 4 times, but never as a Met. You haven't been a starter, and the first votes came out yesterday, and you're well ahead at shortstop. What would it mean to you if over the next few weeks this got finalized and you were a Met starter for the Met all-star for the first time and an all-star starter for the first time?
Well, it would be special. It'll definitely be something that I would cherish for sure. Something um that I wouldn't take it for granted for sure. To be an all-star. It's a huge thing. It's a privilege, it's an honor, and we'll see. There's still a long way to go. Yeah, I'm having a good season so far, but it's all about winning games, and I appreciate the fans for voting for me as of right now, and especially the New York fans. They've been fantastic, and I appreciate the love.
Yeah, you underplayed it. You're not having a good season. You're having a great season, and you had a great season last year. And I don't know, maybe you handle these things better than I do, but I'd be annoyed if I were you. I mean, you've actually been better in New York than you were in Cleveland, where you made it 4 times. I mean, is there any explanation for this? Why you've been overlooked to this point? I mean, second in MVP, as Joel mentioned. I mean, you should have been an all-star several times already. I mean, how'd you handle this?
No, man. It's to be an all-star. The guys that I made every year that have I get really good first half, and yeah, I haven't had the first half that I wanted to be an all-star, and haven't got the votes and stuff, and ultimately comes down to performance. My April wasn't as good the past couple of years, so you just put your head down and you work, and you stay the course, and hope that at the end of the year, all the work that you put in is going to pay off.
Yeah, I mean, just on the subject of the first half, I mean, it's one stat. You have a 138 OPS plus. You had a 139 as the NL MVP last year. So you're having a brilliant first half. And part of it is being done recently with a broken right pinky toe. I wonder if you could give us an update. How are you feeling? Is it impacting your game in any way?
Um, I feel good. It's just a pinky toe, uh, but yeah, it hurts. It's part of it. It's part of the adversity that we all as base players have to go through. Uh, you just, you just stay the course, and you find a way to play through it. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has gone through this, and just working. But yeah, it hurts. A pinky toe, for some reason, it hurts a lot.
Well, I would imagine it hurts a lot. I was there in Los Angeles when you got drilled on the foot by an errant pitch, and you missed one game. I think you want to play that game, and then you even missed only. I don't think you didn't miss any days for the birth of your third child. I mean, where does this dedication come from? I know they didn't play you that game, but you were there. You could have played. I mean, I'm sure you're in immense pain. I mean, even Mookie Betts took a few days for the broken toe, and he walked into a wall. So that you didn't do this to yourself. Uh, have you always been like this? That you have to show up for work every single day?
This is credit to my dad. He first of all, I'm blessed to play the game. So whenever I have an opportunity to play it, you got to play the game. When it comes to you know playing through uh, a little bit of pain, it's credit to my dad. My dad has always told me um, that we can't take any day for granted. We got to play the game if we have the opportunity to do it. And we're blessed and we're lucky to play the game. So play the game. And then the child thing, that's credit to my wife. She she gave me permission to go play. If she doesn't give me permission, it doesn't happen. So this is credit to my wife.
Francisco, look, we're talking about your toughness here. Why don't I harp on another thing? It's something I end up talking to you a lot about plays on the field. I think you have about as high a baseball. I mean, your talent is, again, switch hitter with speed and power and average and whatever, but your baseball IQ is as high as anyone in the sport. Just your clock, your feel for the game, your understanding. How did that develop?
That's the same thing. That's credit to my dad. A lot of my baseball knowledge, a lot of my baseball uh, stuff, everything I do for baseball, it's most of the time it's credit to my dad. He, at a very young age, when I sat down to watch baseball games, it wasn't just to watch baseball games. My dad would be asking me questions in the middle of the game. What would you do here? Okay, ground ball to the shortstop. What would you do? Okay, if you were the hitter, what pitch is coming? So I never really got to sit down and just watch the game silently. It was all about like, what could you do? What would you done? What would you do in these situations? And that's how I learned the game. My dad was a coach, so I was always around games. I was always around um, strategies. Like how to better a team or what to do in certain situations, or what could have been better. And just that I still view the game like this. When I'm watching the games or when I'm in the game, I'm always thinking ahead, um, anticipating stuff.
You've just celebrated your 10 years in the big leagues. Or halfway more. Well, I don't want to say halfway. I don't know. Maybe it'll be another 10 years in a Hall of Fame career. And you've had very little adversity. But obviously, the first year in New York was tough. And Juan Soto, first year with the Mets, struggled at the beginning. He's doing well now. I think he's up to fourth in All-Star voting, and he's he's been Juan Soto lately. What was that first year like? I mean, did you feel for him? Did you understand it? And why is it so difficult that first year?
My first year, the reason why it was so tough for me, it was I was trying to hug more than I could hug. I wanted to do so much more than I could have. And it wasn't until I learned the organization, the culture. So I went through a lot of ups and downs that I realized, you know what? Like, if I take care of my job, and my job is to play shortstop for the New York Mets, a lot of other things are going to get solved. And luckily, I had a lot of good people around me that that helped me, people that were in the organization that helped me, and people outside of the organization that also reached out and talked to me, to guide me through the process. And it, I believe in what the Cohen family wanted to do with this organization, and once I was out of the first 3 months of the year, it was like, okay, all right, this, yes, just
do your thing, continue to do your thing. I think the biggest blessing to me, one of the biggest blessings to me that year was that I ended up on the IL, and that helped me to slow things down. Things were a little fast for me, and that helped me slow things down, and see things from the outside. Um, and when it comes to Soto, I mean, yeah, for some of the fans, he looked like he was struggling, but like the numbers were good. The expected numbers, which is something that a lot of front offices they look into. That so he credit to him, he stayed the same. He looked the same. He still looks the same person. He didn't ride the wave of being bad and the wave of being good. He stayed the course for such a young player uh, with a lot on on his plate. He has handled himself extremely well. So I'm super happy that from people's eye, he looks like Juan Soto. For us, he looked like Juan Soto from the beginning. But for the external eyes, he looked like Juan, and he's gonna. I believe he's gonna end up being an all-star, and he's gonna have a fantastic year. He's gonna help us win, continue to help us win a lot of games.
Francisco, within the course of that answer, you used the term that you believed in what Steve Cohen and his family are trying to do. That started with trading for you and signing you long term. What do you think the Cohen family is trying to do, and how close do you think the Met franchise is to realizing that expectation?
Well, the Collins family are trying to make this organization as sustainable and as professional, as classy, and as um, diverse it can be. Like they they're very close to the ultimate goal of we all want to win. We understand that we have the team to do it. We can get it done. It's just a matter of playing well in October, making it to October and then playing well in October. But it's not just about winning one year. It's to have continuous success, and continuous success is not just winning the World Series every year. Continuous success is helping people within the organization to grow, to get better, to care for the organization, where other organizations are looking in to hire people from this organization. The that players that haven't had good years, they want to come here because they feel like if they come here, they're gonna end up playing extremely well, and they can go and make um, a living for themselves for the next couple of years. That's what the Cohen's family wants, and to bring a lot of smile and joy to New York. Ultimately.
There were a few rough moments in Pete Alonso's negotiations. Were you concerned that they weren't going to bring him back? And are you pretty pleased that they did? And would you like to see them extend him now? I mean, he's pretty likely to opt out at this point with the year that he's having. How much does he mean to this team?
He means a lot to us. I was happy he came back. He makes our team better. He lengthened our lineup. The way he's playing this year is incredible. Um, Super happy for him. And throughout the negotiations, it's one of those where um, the team gave what they felt it was the best effort they can give. And Pete, um, in all his rights, he wanted to make sure he made the best decision for him and his family. And uh, kudos, credit to him. He went out there. I know a lot of players test the market, and he did. And he came back with a good contract, and I think he's the highest paid first baseman. I believe the best contract for annual value, which is fantastic. And I'm sure I don't know what he's gonna end up doing this year, but I'm sure he's gonna try for an extension and make the most money he can, and he's all right to do that.
Francisco, it was about this time last year your team began to take off. You had a very tough May, and in June you started to turn it around. You got all the way to the NLCS. As we're talking to you, you have the best record in the National League. You have a moment from last year where you kind of it clicked in and you said, "We are a very good baseball team, and great things could happen for us."
Well, I I would say I came in last year thinking that we had a really good team. I came in last year saying from day one, I'm like, I think this is a playoff team. You look around and it's a good, great group of guys. But if I were to pick a moment, I don't really have a specific moment, but I know from early August on, we were playing playoff baseball every single day. It felt like, every series was just like do or die for us. And you do a certain amount of those throughout the year, and you start saying, yeah, we are really good. We continue to do this. We continue to play the game. There was like a series last year where we went, like, there was like a stretch where we went to Colorado, went to St. Louis for a rain game that we had to make up. Then went Anaheim and then uh, Seattle. We were exhausted, but uh, we knew that we had to take care of business, and we ended up losing a couple of games. And we might end up with a losing record that road trip. But everybody was so bought in, like you could see it. Like, you could see it that people got tired mentally, not physically. They were just mentally tired because it was just like they grind. So at that time, yeah, we felt like we were a really good team. So then when it comes to this year, I hope we continue to take off. I hope we don't go through what we went through last year. Uh, but we understand it's a long year. We're gonna deal with adversity, and we just gotta continue to stay the course and keep climbing, keep pushing each other, and cherish each other's success.
For me, I mean, moving you to the leadoff seemed to really spark the team. That would be my guess on that. But obviously you have a closer perspective on these things than I do. What about New York versus Cleveland? You were Mr. Smiles even when you were in Cleveland, so you liked Ohio. What's the difference for you? You seem to love it in New York.
Yeah, I love Cleveland. They're great people, and it's a fantastic organization. Uh, Real professional. But New York, I feel like this is home. It's it's an organization that a lot of people care, that people want to bring the best version of themselves day in and day out. Uh, People really care for each other, and and what the job that Stern has done, and the Cohen family with Steve and Alex, the job that they have done, uh, it's been very, very good. I'm pleased, and I know they're not gonna stop. They're gonna continue to try to be the best that they can be, and I'm glad I'm a New York Met. Proud to be a New York Met.
What does a lot of us have been suggesting you could be the captain. I know there aren't many captains in baseball. Obviously, Aaron Judge is one, but I couldn't really name too many others. Does that mean anything to you? Would you like that to be the captain?
Yeah, I mean that's something that's gonna have to be it come from internally, and if it does happen, it'll be an honor. It's something that I wouldn't take for granted. I would definitely wouldn't take a title like that lightly. I will continue to be Francisco Lindor. I will continue to work and push myself and push the people around me, and want the best for the people around me. And if they decide to name me that, it'll be an honor. It'll be extremely special. Uh, and it's something that uh, I could tell my kids and my grandkids one day.
Francisco, I mentioned it earlier. You're talking to us from Atlanta. You're about to begin a period of Atlanta, Philly, Atlanta. It's a 10-game period. You've said a bunch. It's a long season. We're not ending the season after these 10 games. But I wonder, because these are the two teams that you kind of look at, especially if Atlanta could get its act together as the teams you're going to be competing with for the top of the division. What do you think these 10 days mean?
It's gonna mean a lot. I mean, whenever you play in division teams, you got to give everything you got. Uh, Maybe that's my mentality of coming up to big leagues a while ago. That you play 18 games with the in division. You don't play with them as many games as you once used to. But these are going to be great games. This is going to be, it should feel playoff like games. The atmosphere, I know the Atlanta crowd is going to bring it. Same thing in Philly. And then when they come home, it's going to be the same thing. It's one of those where uh, you got to stay in the moment. You got to take it one game at a time. You can't think about how many games to play against them in the next week or so. Stay in the moment and enjoy it. Have fun, and they're gonna give us everything we have, and we should give them everything we have as well.
I know you're completely dedicated to baseball, but I know you have a couple of outside interests, tennis, one of mine also, but fashion, as you know, I'm a sports writer, so I know nothing about fashion, but I noticed you have about 80 pairs of shoes and they're all very colorful and cool. And I know you did a fashion shoot for the New York Post last week. I think it was appeared last Wednesday. How did that go? Is this a big interest of yours? It looked cool to me, but again, I'm not an expert, as you know.
Yeah,
Is this a big interest of yours? Are you going to be a fashion model as well as a baseball player?
it really is. I enjoy it. I enjoy styling myself. I enjoy um trying to put things together when it comes to like shoes and clothing. Uh, the New York Post magazine, the Alexa cover, uh, was fantastic. GQ was great. My agent has done a fantastic job of putting me in the right places when it comes to those avenues. So yeah, I enjoy it. I truly have fun doing it, and fashion. There's two different things. It's fashion. It's something that when people anybody can throw an outfit together. That's fashion. Styling. It's like knowing how to put it together. That's what I like.
Francisco, I hope it doesn't embarrass you that I say this. I actually use you as my example where people say, well, players are styling. I said, nobody has more style than Francisco Lindor, but on the field, no one has more substance. So I'm all for players having style, but on the field, you got to play the right way. And I always use you as the example that you could have live in both worlds. The other thing John mentioned, the Mr. Smiles thing, is your nickname. One will give you a chance. I think you have a foundation Smile Tuesday, right? Like that you do. This is a Tuesday that we're talking to you. Tell us what Smile Tuesday is and why it's important to you.
Yeah, Smile Tuesday is about bringing kids to the field and giving them a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of a space for them to smile and have fun. They come to the field. There's a dentist that I partner with, and we talk about teeth. We talk about baseball. We talk about life situations, and share our experiences. And the dentist can educate them, with dental hygiene, and we give them toothbrush, toothpaste, and they get to enjoy the game. To me, life it's if you can smile and you can enjoy the moment. Uh, Smiling is contagious. If you can smile to somebody, maybe that person's not having a good day, and that person ends up smiling, you can change their day. So that's really cool, and I've been blessed to be surrounded with people that make me smile and enjoy life, and I try to pass it on.
Francisco, it's an example of, I think you were nominated for the Roberto Clemente Award last year. I believe you're going to be again this season. And from talking to you last year about it, I know how much that means to you beyond everything else. Roberto Clemente, a hero of the world, the sport, and your native Puerto Rico. So I know it means a lot to you. And also, John and I always want to point this out when there's a guest on. Not every star is at his locker before every game and available to talk to reporters or talk to them after the game. Francisco Lindor is the bastion of availability and accountability when it comes to this level of players. So I know I speak for John. I will hope I'm speaking for the whole crew of reporters who cover the team regularly, that we appreciate that. And Francisco, John, and I appreciate you joining us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
John and I, of course, thank Francisco Lindor for joining us on the show. John, hit or error?
Well, we touched on it, but I'm going to give the Giants a hit. There aren't many teams that would go out and spend $30 million a year on a DH. I give them credit. I get it. Maybe that contract won't look good a few years from now. Not maybe, probably it won't look good, but they're trying to win. Their chances to win that division, great? No, but they're a lot better than most people figured they'd be. Their pitching is excellent. They needed a bat, and they're willing to do what it takes. So I'm giving a hit to the Giants.
Yeah, that's a good one, John. We don't have all 30 teams trying at all times to win, so it's always encouraging to see one. I'm going to give a hit to a team also that's winning. Can I give a hit to the Houston Astros, who, as we saw, are 1-31? Look, they traded Kyle Tucker, and Alvarez has been injured since the beginning of May, leaving them essentially with no left-hand hitting. They have 6 pitchers on the IL, most of them starters, wiped out. And look, part of this is the division. I thought the Rangers would be better. They're not. Seattle is just married to mediocrity and not making the playoffs for some reason. I guess they're going to come after me. Look, they're 4.5 up on Seattle. They're 5 over Texas. They're 10 over 500. Hunter Brown, I get it. I think Tarek Skubal is the AL Cy Young kind of at this point, but Hunter Brown is doing some breathing on the neck. He's leading the AL and ERA. He's second to Skubal in strikeout percentage. And I just thought this was fascinating, John. Framber Valdez, this is his ERA plus the last 5 seasons. You talk about lack of deviation. 125, 137, 135, 123, 138, and it's 130 this year. He's a free agent at the end of the year. The Astros haven't kind of made a big move to keep him, but the Astros are addicted to winning. And they keep winning. And so I'm going to give them a hit for no left-hand hitters, devastated pitching staff. But you know what? If no one else in the division is going to step up, the zombie Astros are going to win it again.
Yeah, good one. I mean, our old friend Joe Espada doing a nice job there. I mean, they're keep on keeping on there. I got to give them credit. I mean, also lost Bregman, and in recent years, Springer is gone. Correa. They've lost an all-star team full of guys who were champions. They were World Series champions, and great job. Absolutely, by the Astros. The Mariners can't come after you. They've publicly stated they're trying to win 54% of the games. So what did you say? You said they're addicted to 500. That's basically it, right? 54. Okay.
Yeah.
But right now they are around 500.
Yeah. If they were winning 54, this would be a tighter race. They're not. They're not taking advantage of one of the great offensive seasons of all time by a catcher. They didn't take advantage of really healthy, elite starting pitching the past 2 years. They've been to the playoffs once since 2001, the only of the 30 teams that's never been to the World Series. I mean, at some point, you've got to do what the Giants just did. I mean, like, they need bats. They should have been at the front of the line for Devers.
Right. The Rockies have been in the World Series, right? The Marlins have won the World Series.
At some point,
twice.
you have to get uncomfortable if you've made the playoffs once. In a sport that keeps adding the number of playoff teams, if you made the playoffs once in a quarter of a century, get off your butt and get uncomfortable. And don't try to win 54% of games. Try to get to the playoffs and try to get to the World Series. So I'm talking about mine, but I'm also supporting yours, John. I think it's the right thing, which is when you have a chance to win, can you honor the sport and your fan base by doing what you can within your budget and within your abilities, and sometimes getting uncomfortable to go for winning. Like we don't have all 30. I don't think we have half the 30 teams trying to do that. So I actually more than mine, and I really admire what the Astros do. I applaud yours, because it's a giant team that's doing what, say, the Mariners are not doing.
Right. I mean, the Giants do have an even greater revenue than the Mariners, but the Mariners are not a small market team. That is a mid to larger market team, certainly in the top half and it's ridiculous. I don't even. Their fans are very loyal. They're not they're not getting the kind of criticism I think they should get. I know I'm known as a Mariner detractor, but I mean, I just look at the history of it. One time in 20 plus years to be in the playoffs with the talent that they've had come through there and wasted, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm with you, John. The opposite of wasted talent is Tommy Hogan. Terrific. And by me, John. Tommy's our producer. He helps us every week. We appreciate him so much. Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, please rate and review us. The reviews do help, believe it or not. The New York Post Sports YouTube page, give us a view. And please continue to stick with us on the show with Joel Sherman and Jon Heyman.